Trump might be that person to implement potentially some kind of agreement.
This guy does have that extra element of unpredictability for sure. So he might unpredictably do the predictable.
AI has to be controlled. You can't just let anyone have the power to do absolutely anything with it, because it can be dangerous.
It's probably going to get better and better in the long run, but there has to be some human input to drive the thing, or to at least manage it from a human perspective.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another podcast. Today I'm joined by two very special guests. We have Michael and Richard. Michael from the United States, Richard from South Africa in Cape Town. And, you know, these two traders, they've got years and years of experience under the belt. And today we're going to be covering quite a range of topics. We're going to dabble a bit about Trump, his inauguration speech, his presidency, and how that could affect the global markets as a whole. And we're going to talk about AI as well, how AI could affect, the future of trading, especially for the retail trader out there. So it should be a really good one. Michael, Richard, thank you for joining. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah. Thanks for having me for sure. I'm absolutely awesome today.
Good to hear.
Same here. Thanks for inviting me again. I think this is the second podcast. The previous one went really well. Really enjoyed it. And welcome to everyone watching us today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks again for joining. So let's get a little bit into Trump. We spoke in the previous podcast quite a bit in depth about what we think, which markets might be affected more than others, during a Trump's presidency. We'd just like to touch up a little bit with his inauguration speech. I mean, he spoke a lot about, putting America first. It sounds like he's going to really, try and get America and its economy out of this current rut. How do you think that might hold true? Do you think investors or traders as a whole are also feeling that, yeah, Trump is the guy for this?
You want to go first,
I would.
Mark?
Yeah, sure. I'll take a stab at it. So obviously I took a gander at it as well. Lots of talk about how, we're going to pull this thing on back. We're going to make sure we put ourselves first. No country's going to come in here and basically eat off our plate without paying a fee for it. That's really what it sounded like. But yeah, I would definitely say he's, it's a give and take. Some people love him, some people hate him. But at this particular point, it does seem like he might be the person to do exactly that. Not to sound too biased, all presidents say what they're going to do and it ends up being an entirely separate thing. But this guy does have that extra element of unpredictability for sure. So he might unpredictably do the predictable in a way and actually make it happen.
It's funny, but it's true as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I definitely think he has it at heart to actually do it. And just that pompous air that he has about him too, just to be able to say that he did it, so I can kind of see him doing it for multiple reasons there for sure.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I think as far with all this slew of executive orders that he's been signing off, he's thus far delivered, at least on those promises. That was again mentioned during his inauguration speech. How the markets are still going to be impacted. I haven't seen much movement just yet. I'm still interested in the energy markets from a trading perspective. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. But depending on what side you're off the line, a lot of people, like Michael said, is you either hate him or love him, So the proof's in the pudding. It's still going to be a while before we start really seeing how things are gonna go. It's still early. It's second week now, towards the end of the second week since his inauguration. So very, very interesting times.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. I think what Michael said as well is quite interesting. That even Trump is the type of guy, he has quite an ego. I think that's fair to say. And if he is the person to historically get America out of its current economic climate, that for him would probably be the biggest trophy possible, right? And I think also knowing that this is his last shot to make that history. So I think he's really going to try hard. Whether it will be successful, whether it will happen, whether his policies will go through, who knows? But I think, I think in the next 4 years or so, it's going to be very interesting.
For sure.
I think it's going to be probably one of the most interesting times for traders out there and investors. So let's quickly move on from Trump. We can always circle back to him later on. I want to talk about how trading as a whole, how the markets as a whole evolve over time, right? So back in like the 80s, I'm sure you all know about Richard Dennis, who had that, I believe it was turtle trading system or something, where you got a bunch of people who never traded before, taught them which is a very basic breakout strategy, essentially. And, they made an absolute killing. I don't know how much they made, but, I believe it was in the hundreds of millions. So today, obviously, if you were to take the exact same strategy and apply it today, you're probably not going to make hundreds of millions, or even the same level of, just because the markets evolve and it's not as easy. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but they're just a lot more complex now with all the technology we have and and the amount of people trading as well, more than ever. So how do you feel that with AI, growing rapidly as it is, because it's scary how fast AI is growing and becoming really, really good at what it does. How's that going to affect the future of trading and retail traders?
In my opinion, this is one of those get with it or get lost type of scenarios. Let's say that the saying used to be best thing since sliced bread, then it came out to be the best thing since the internet. Now it's pretty much the best thing since AI. I don't know if you guys watched that TV show Billions, but as good as Bobby Axelrod was, at one point he brought on Taylor, who was the quant side of it all. And it's just one of those things where you constantly have to evolve, or you're going to end up like Blockbuster or Toys R Us, to say the least.
Oh, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I definitely think you got to get with the times. I 100% agree with that. Somehow integrated with your trading decisions. When I first started trading, when I took things more seriously, I traded with a few good mentors at the time for a prop trading firm here in Cape Town. And they used to trade on the floors, like, you have the New York Stock Exchange, where the traders used to be on the floor screaming at each other. The same thing was here on the JSE, Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And I'm talking here about 2012 runabout. And they were already, the old guys. They made like money back in the days. And even then they were starting to struggle. This is years before AI. So market conditions do change. Algorithmic trading's been there for quite a long time. AI actually helping with that advancement, decision making and all that sort of stuff. I mean, even if you just go on any job portal, for example, like Upwork, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Did a few freelancing jobs, I don't know, a few years ago, where there was a high demand for traders or people wanting traders to, let's say, educate them or create this and that indicator for me. Now it's all about like AI specialists, only seeking for AI specialists that want to automate strategy and that sort of thing. So it's definitely moved in that direction. That's clear as day. So if you don't incorporate it in your decision making, or look, I'm not a coder or anything like that. If it can help you, I definitely would say you should definitely try to implement somehow in your trading. For sure.
For sure.
Very interesting.
Even if it's a hybrid version, so to speak, like maybe not something that just totally gets you in the trade, manages the trade, then gets you out of the trade, or maybe something that just gives you an alert, gets you in the trade and manage it, and it's up to you to get out of it. Or something that gives you an alert, it's up to you to get in it and manage it and get out of it. There needs to be some type of hybrid there for sure to
Now I've got
keep
a few
up.
good friends that are coders and traders, firstly, which is very interesting. Normally you don't get both. But they've got some pretty decent algorithms, or bots as people obviously call them these days. They mostly trade indices, crude oil. Basically can trade on anything, but that's their preferred markets. But interesting how they've been incorporating AI as well and machine learning. So, you got your own algorithms, you've got a strategy that your algorithms are working on and that forth. But they still have now the machine learning side of things, or AI, that continuously, sharpens those models that they create in the
Yeah.
beginning. And obviously that saves a lot of time for them. So without that incorporation and the speed of how things are going within trading, you're going to be lost, in my opinion, especially when it comes to trading bots and those sort of things.
Yeah,
For sure.
I absolutely agree. I mean, algorithmic trading isn't anything new,
No.
so to
Right.
speak. I mean, I believe the majority of trades in the global markets are done by some form of algorithm. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but I feel, the old sense of algorithms, they were very computer code based, as in, if X happens, then do Y. And
Yeah.
so it was very structured, right? So they
Right.
left almost patterns within the market. And I think a lot of retail traders pick up on those patterns and therefore create, trading opportunities. I think what's a little scary with AI is that it's not hard coded, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can evolve and it can change and it can adapt
Exactly.
to whichever situation. Would
Mm-hmm.
that make it harder for retail traders who haven't got access to these really complex, AI bots or algorithms or whatever? Would it make it harder for, let's just say, traditional price action and technical analysis? Will we start seeing a change of how the charts start looking moving forward?
Oh yeah, for sure. Even with like I'd say like a system that I have, like I try to teach traders all the time because I'm also a trading coach for a WB Trading Education as well.
Mm,
And I try to explain to them like this isn't going to show up crystal clear, like this pattern.
yeah,
Sometimes it's going to be very hard to see. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be what I would call it quasi, and you almost have to squint one of your eyes just to even notice half of the pattern here. So best believe it's going to be more and more and more of that. It isn't going to be as crystal clear and easy to take advantage of it, how it's always been. So yeah, we kind of got into this industry to be irreplaceable. And then, topics like this come around is like, oh no, if I don't do something, I just might be in trouble here.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, I think chart patterns and all those sort of things, the basics of chart reading will always be there. But like Michael's saying, it's like, yes, you have to squint your eyes sometimes to force to see what you potentially
Mhm.
want to see, sort of thing, when it's not really there. So I think AI can definitely help with those sort of things, at least give you those statistics or probabilities of whatever, and it continuously learns if it can read market sentiment, all those sort of things. Then yeah, it could be a benefit. Personally, how I incorporate it in my own trading at the moment, something I'm definitely looking at seriously.
yeah,
I'm very interested in those friends of mine with those bots that they created using machine learning and AI. And yeah, start implementing that if I do start seeing some results, at least like in a test environment. But yeah, I think coming back to the initial question, if you're not going to incorporate AI in some way in your trading, I think that's going to be a tough one going forward.
yeah, yeah. I absolutely agree as well. I think it is. You're forced to do it. You have to kind of adapt with the times, like Michael said, or you'll be Blockbuster or
Yep.
Toys R Us or whichever
Seriously.
bankrupt company out there.
Yeah.
I mean, even just in the broader, not even just for traders. I mean, just the broader job market as a whole. AI looks like it will make quite a few people obsolete. And a lot of people saying there's two sides to the argument. So some people are saying, well, you had this during the Industrial Revolution. When cars started building, they said, oh, people who breed horses and sell them, they're going to lose a job, which is true. And it'll create more jobs as certain jobs become obsolete, more jobs will be created. And then there's the other side that says, well, AI can do pretty much anything you want it to do. Which job could possibly be left other than if you're the person creating the AI, and maybe AI
Yeah.
will be able to create itself at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do find that trading might be one of the only industries that won't really be affected. Well, it would be affected, but it's ultimately up to you. If you're a retail trader, you can trade anytime. The markets are open. No one is stopping you from entering the markets.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's 99% AI driven, you can still have a shot at it and potentially make money. So do you feel
For
that
sure.
maybe traders are actually probably in a good position with the advancement of AI and learning how to trade right now and becoming a successful or skilled trader, so to speak, could probably be one of the most useful bits of knowledge moving forward in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. If there were a hypothetical slaughterhouse, I think traders will be the last ones to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because most definitely there is this era of like, let's say that that EA, that bot AI, whatever you want to call it, might take over, I don't know, X amount of jobs at a certain pace, and all those jobs are obsolete in the next 3, 5, 7 years. If you're over here on our side, it might take 15, 17, 20 years or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it won't happen because as we all know, like the advancement of technology seems to happen faster and faster each year.
Mm.
So there is that element as well. So yeah, we won't be the first to go for sure. We'll probably be at the very end. But again, if you don't incorporate this somehow, some way, you're definitely gonna get it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my perspective, I kind of liken it to being, like a pilot. Most of the time, these days, like planes land themselves, and they're going
Hmm.
autopilot for most of their journey. So I liken that to what a trader should be thinking about, especially when it comes to algorithmic trading, or when you call it AI, or if there's any integration with that, to at least still be in charge. You know what I mean? You can't just let a bot go and let it do its thing. There has to be some sort of input from your side. And I'm just talking now about a personal retailer trader side of things, not working for a company or whatever. Because they might have their own rules and how they want to implement things. But one thing I've learned during my beginning years is all these EAs that I've bought everyone under the sun, which was basically just algorithmic trading. And initially they'll make a little bit of money and then, they fall off a cliff and you lose money. So I still see the same thing with that, with AI. It's probably going to get better and better in the long run, but there has to be some human input to drive the thing or to at least manage it from a human perspective when it comes to that. It's definitely something that I'm going to put my hard-earned money into and just let it run and hope for the best sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. You have to be kind of cautious moving forward, and whether something really is AI or just a
Yeah.
old school. I feel a lot of people slapping the AI term onto things that aren't actually AI.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's a lot of a lot of cloudy sort of fog in that kind of area of what actually constitutes true AI, so to speak. Um, but yeah, you got to adapt. I do agree. Um, do you feel that because obviously AI has moving away from trading, even AI has the ability to be used almost as a weapon on the larger scale, right? And I think a lot of countries are kind of, back in the Cold War, they had the arms race or whatever you want to call it, right? Now it's
Hmm.
kind of almost like the technology AI race. Every country's trying to create the best AI for whatever sector, right? Um, do you think there will have to be some kind of regulation put in at some point to say, look, AI has to be controlled? You can't just let anyone have the power to do absolutely anything with it because it can be dangerous. And do you think Trump might be that person to implement potentially some kind of agreement, to kind of control AI?
Yeah, for sure. So yes, there needs to be some type of overhead, some type of controlling. We can't just let this thing run wild because we've all seen those movies. We know how they end. We know how that ends. And yeah, I don't know, I'll probably butcher the whole thing, but it was something about, some AI was learning and teaching and it learned its other language and they had to shut it off because it's like, all right, this is like open up Pandora's box. This can go left
Wow.
really, really, really quick. So yeah, it does need to be some cap on this, so to speak, so it doesn't get into the wrong hands. We
Yeah.
already see what, much less technology does within the wrong hands. You can only imagine something as high as this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So definitely needs to be some oversight there for sure. And once again, he would be the guy to say, I came up with that. If it wasn't for me, the world would be on fire, So I'm the one who implemented that. So yeah, I definitely think he would more than likely be someone to put the top on it, so to speak. And
Yeah.
also make sure other countries are paying us if they want to use it too.
Absolutely, yeah.
I also think oversight will be very important. I think, I don't know if it was during Trump's speech or after, but I think he did mention America should be the front runners in AI, in that sort of space. And then I think it was a few days ago, China came out with a DeepSeek model, which is more efficient, and that had the markets worry. Nasdaq and the Dow went down just a little bit. Well, a little bit. Dow, I think, lost over 1,000 points in a day.
Yeah.
It scared the tech market a little bit. And obviously, for it being from China, they always think like maybe there's some way that it could spy on the States. So there's always this cross-border sort of like spy issues that they have with each other, especially from between America and China. So definitely needs oversight. It's going to be interesting to see. I think the users on DeepSeek just skyrocketed. I even tried it out this morning on my phone, and I could barely download the thing.
Wow.
Or actually get some prompts going. So ChatGPT is definitely quivering in their boots at the moment. They're obviously asking for the paid version where DeepSeek is for free. Maybe it won't stay for free for long. Who knows? But there's already some war going on there. That's for sure on the tech side of things.
Yeah, there's definitely an AI kind of arms race going on.
Yeah.
And that kind of worries me because who's gonna actually stop and say, well, this is getting quite dangerous to a certain degree, this technology. But at the same time, if you put a pause on it, like if America puts a pause on it and puts some regulation, China's not going to listen to that. They're just going to carry on, right? And whoever I wouldn't say cracks it, but gets ahead is going to have an advantage in the future. And so it really is. At some point, there has to be an agreement between nations to say we've got to contain it, because even if it leaks out into the public, like the problem is everyone can build AI as well. It's actually not that difficult to build your own, as long as you have the computing power and the time. And it is a bit expensive, but you can theoretically. There's nothing stopping you. It's not like a nuclear bomb where you can't really build that at home, right? Yeah. AI, you can, right? So you're seeing these uprises of the kind of underground AI systems that can do all sorts of crazy scams almost, and ruin people's lives. They can take people's identities, copy their voice, and people are falling for it because it's so sophisticated.
Yeah.
But there has to be something, I think, at some point. And I do believe that maybe Trump might be the guy, especially, with Elon by his side. I think he recognizes a bit more. Maybe Trump ain't as technical as someone like Elon. Elon probably recognizes the dangers of it. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting times for sure.
Absolutely. So you're both traders, right? Would like to talk a little bit, because a lot of people watching obviously going to be quite new to trading. Would like to talk a little bit like, what kind of trader you are, what you usually trade, your kind of strategy, what is it based upon? Because there's obviously so many different ways to read the market. And, you've got indicator based, your supply demand, you've got price action, technical analysis. Maybe you're like an order flow type guy who likes to, the futures and stuff. It depends, if you give us a little rundown of, what kind of trader you are, so to speak. Michael, if you want to go first.
Yeah. So by definition, I am a day trader for sure. I am entering and exiting positions the same day. I typically never hold trades over to the next session, which for me would be Asia. Well, I don't hold them from New York to Asia. Avoid that swap fee. Avoid that gap up. Man, I learned that lesson so many times. So I don't do that. Trade as far as where I'm trading, primarily currencies, but I do trade a few indices. So S&P 500, NAS 100, US 30, gold, silver, crude oil. Buying only Bitcoin, I do trade that, and then the rest are just the majors and the crosses for currency pairs. And then what type of style? I would say more or less order flow. Pretty much watching the order flow along with the market maker structure. So a lot of not too many indicators, but do have the 13, the 50, the 200, 800. Definitely need those EAs indicators on my screen. And then a TDI at the bottom, so the Trader's Dynamic Index. which has the Bollinger Bands, RSI, market baseline, signal line, static. And I'm really just watching for what we call footprints on the chart for like a huge, like supply and demand areas of interest, and kind of just watching the order flow from there.
Nice.
Mainly market maker structure though. Like that's like
Yeah.
my primary thing is to kind of see, where these guys moving. Always trading with the trend, never against it. Learn that lesson too. And yeah, that's how I'm rocking and rolling.
Very nice. Very nice.
Awesome.
And
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat as Michael. Also day trading primarily. I do trade options from time to time, but more months out, 3 months out. I do see some opportunity there. But primarily day trading. I won't say scalping. I have a specific strategy that I like to trade on the Nasdaq, the ES. I can trade the micros if the risks too big or the movements are too big on the day. Crude oil also works pretty well with that strategy. A lot to do with market structure and then incorporating stuff like hidden gaps or market gaps, they call them. Volume I incorporate there as well. Like to trade in a specific time window, normally from the US markets between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. and look for very specific setups, either liquidity runs or liquidity sweeps. And that's how I operate. Find that it's very structural. A lot of it keeps me, sort of in check, so I don't break my rules. And obviously, as a trader, obviously during the years, you start getting a good feel for what you're looking at and that sort of stuff. I completely avoid trading news. And setups occur quite regularly, very high probability setups, but a lot of things have to happen or set up for me to take a trade. So there's also that discipline that I had to nurture during the years or get used to. You can't just go and jump in a trade, or you've been there the whole day. I have to go home in like 30 minutes. I haven't traded. Let's just quickly try to put a trade on. I don't do that anymore. But
yeah, it never ends well when you do that. Yeah.
Also, crypto a little bit involved, but just stuff I basically bought on an exchange. Bought XRP actually at a really good price. That's exploded since. Got a little bit of Bitcoin. Been scammed a lot during my early years. So very, very sort of like buy and hold sort of thing, and moving it off an exchange to a hard wallet sort of thing. That's my involvement with the crypto side.
Nice.
So that's pretty much sums up what I do.
Nice.
Yeah, you and I are pretty close with it. So yeah, that's interesting you say all of that. I'm the same. I didn't add the time frames. I'm pretty much every day waiting for that 4-hour confirmation. So about 9 o'clock. We get on and trade from about 8 to 12, but most of the time it doesn't really. We don't stay in front of the screen that long. 9 o'clock is Eastern AM for us. Is super important.
Yeah.
We want that 4-hour confirmation to look a certain way. If it's not, we're pretty much done for the day.
Yeah, well,
and like you mentioned, and like you mentioned too, the news.
Yeah.
Totally avoid the news entirely.
I've got burned so many times with news. It's like
it makes no sense how much money we've lost over trying to get in before or stay in during.
That's gambling big time.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's a very important thing you guys said there. Avoid the news at all costs, and
for sure.
Yeah, I like unless you're like a long-term, swing trader, I would say avoid holding overnight, so to speak. Because like you said, all right, swap fees can be a bit of a sting in the ass, but if you're trading like an intraday position and your position isn't really moved that much from your stop loss, even just the moment the market turns over, the spread can just wipe you out, and it's dangerous. So definitely, unless you're a swing trader, I would say intraday or day trading as a whole. Have your times. If it's out of those times, out of the main liquid times, don't trade. Don't force a trade. It'll always come back tomorrow. There'll always be more opportunities.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's a very
Patience.
much exactly. That's a very much psychological aspect, right? Because it's not so much it's more about maintaining your psychology. How did you guys find? Because for me, for example, like when I started, the old school technical analysis stuff, and I would swing trade, but I wasn't very good psychologically. I'll just be honest, I was rubbish at swing trading. I could not hold trades. I would be checking on them constantly. I just couldn't relax if I was in a trade. So for me, it was much more, I would say more scalping was more my kind of that suited my personality, so to speak, right? And I do order flow as well. And that really helps me with scalping because I can see the live, I can see the depth of market, I can see the volume profiles, I can see the footprint, the actual orders. And that gives me a lot more confidence to get in and out. And I can kind of predict quite well now, short moves,
Right.
basically. So that works for me. I guess my question is, how did you guys overcome the psychological side? How did you end up becoming day traders, not swing traders, not scalpers, not whatever it might be? The psychology of trading. How did you overcome that?
Yeah, so for me, that's actually a great question. I'm actually one of those people, literally, I listen to so many interviews, podcasts, stories. I mean, every day. I go to sleep with my AirPod in, listening to something. I put a cue on and just go. When I'm in front of my charts, I'm listening to something. And what I've noticed over time is a lot of the successful people are kind of saying the same thing. And what I've also noticed is I wasn't doing those things. Right? So it only takes so long. I, I think Mark Douglas says that at one point you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired and making the same mistake over and over and over again. It's nothing more frustrating than that. And at one point you got like, you know what? This is not working. I should just try it. Let's try it for a week. You know what I mean? And kind of like you mentioned, I don't do well with taking trades and going to sleep. Like those are the worst night's sleep that I ever get.
I don't. I had nightmares, literal dreams of my stop loss getting hit. It was ridiculous.
Yes. So I don't do good with that at all. So I don't like to take trades and go to sleep. So that kind of suit my personality more. Like, I'm done. I'm done for the day. I can get on with it. I don't have to worry about driving or going somewhere and checking my phone or, oh, I forgot. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what made me select day trading, for sure. And then also, as I was mentioning, um, just in essence, just sticking to the same set of rules and kind of not getting too far out of the box and just bringing it back home. And I didn't know anything about psychology then either. Like, again, these 8-figure traders who are absolutely killing it, living the dream trading lifestyle that I've always thought I would be doing. They were master psychologist people, or, patience, mindset, discipline. Because I think that's one huge thing is, you can have all the airs in the world, but if you don't have that second part along with some risk management, it's still not going to happen for you. So just listening to all of those interviews and, living vicariously through those successful traders and just kind of add that to my tool belt and like, you know what, this is what I was missing this entire time. So that's kind of how I went about it.
Awesome.
Nice. Richard.
I think today I stopped scalping the markets when trying to pick tops and bottoms, trying to be right about things, and then, getting to understand that the market's always right, not necessarily you, and being able to, let that ego just go a little bit, or suppress it, and have a plan B and go, if something's not working for you, then change it. You know what I mean? Also sort of found I had a really good mentor on the options trading side of things. So I do like trading, I won't say swings and that sort of stuff, but just that longer term sort of stuff where you can sort of be wrong initially, and then initially or later on things work out for you. But you still can have a plan A or B to make a trade work for you. That's the only way you can really trade the markets if you want to trade long term, in my opinion. Because obviously, if you open a buy or sell, you have to be right about the direction of the market. So that was a big one for me. It's like trying to, get that ego sorted out and accepting that the market's always right, not you.
Mm-hmm.
And, having a very structured approach and obviously working on a strategy that fits my personality, that I know that works, and not just like that it works on paper if you do a back test or anything on it, is something that you have experience and you psychologically in the back of your head, you know it works, and that makes it easier to implement the strategy without, fear of loss or missing out, or all those other sort of things. So trying to, with a structural approach and only trading during a specific time window. If something sets up, it does. If it doesn't, I'm also fine with it. I just walk away. But that also comes with experience and age, I suppose, the longer you've been trading. So I know a lot of traders start with one market and then eventually end up trading futures, or, move from one market to the other, different trading styles. Most probably fall for scalping, and there are some good scalpers out there, that's for sure. But it just doesn't fit my personality. I just can't do that. It's just stressful for me. So that's pretty much how I operate. And now I've learned to, just chill out and suppress the ego and do something that works for you. And it's even strategies I've learned in the past, I had to adapt to fit my personality over the time as well. It's not something that's hard set. But at least if you got some things that work, like you working with volume and those sort of things, you find that a lot of these elements work really well with different strategies as well. And quite often when you hear successful traders, you can at least see that some of these elements are in their strategies. So yeah, that's how I operate. Definitely lost a lot of money scalping. Never going to do that again. And I prefer to just walk in, do my market research for the day, or make sure I don't trade into news events. And I've got a time window to concentrate in. I'm in an office with nobody else, and I can focus on what I need to do and execute. If I don't execute, I'm still happy. I go home happy, and not have to worry about holding positions overnight, especially in the futures markets if you trade them. So
yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's quite interesting here, because we have, like, it kind of shows that there is no right or wrong, so to speak, right? You got to find something that suits you and your personality. You said the scalping made you stressed, like it was very stressful for you. I found, like, holding trades very stressful. When I was in a trade, holding it, I found that to be extremely stressful. Whereas scalping for me, I find it less stressful because it's very quick in and out. My average hold time is like 10, 15 minutes. So it's a very quick, right? But it just shows that there is no right or wrong. You have to find something that fits your personality. And then there's also that kind of, you can't always predict the market 100%. That just doesn't exist, right? You have to be patient for the right times. Even as a scalper, for example, I could be sitting there sometimes hours and I don't see anything that I'm willing to pull the trigger on. It has to be at a specific level using volume profile to find, and this might only be a few opportunities across a few different pairs of an actual trade I'm willing to pull the trigger. And if I miss that entry for whatever reason, all right, then I have to wait till tomorrow. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. And I have the discipline to wait.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it
always hurts more than to just jump in and think you missed it. That feeling of, man, I knew I shouldn't have did that. That is much worse than I didn't get to take any trades today. I'll come back tomorrow. The difference in those two, experience lets you know that the second one is much better. Like, it really is. Don't feel like you missed out. It'll be here tomorrow. And there's a high probability chance that if you do that, you're going to lose. So just don't do it.
Absolutely.
Or the other side, or the flip of that, is if you follow your strategy, the setup happened, and now you're scared to execute, and then you miss it.
Yeah.
Then it starts running in your direction, and then you want to get involved. It's like just as psychologically damaging. It's
Absolutely. And I feel a lot of it is there's quite a problem, because a lot of people get into trading because obviously money is the number one reason anyone would get into trading. Right. You'll find it hard to find someone who actually finds it fun to analyze charts all days. But those people exist, and fair play to them. But most people get in for money, and it's usually, especially if they're doing day trading, because it is very, potentially high returns. You can't really do that in the stock market, so to speak, right? It's much more long term. I feel those people who get into trading for the money, they're clouded by the kind of unrealistic gains, right? They see a lot of people on YouTube, you've got many years under their belt, and they've got a lot of capital. They're not reliant on that money, number one. So psychologically, they're already way ahead of you, because if they lose a trade, they can still drive their car, they can still go out, they can still go on holiday.
Right.
They don't need the money, so to speak, right? It doesn't hurt them as much. Whereas if you're, essentially gambling your last $500 on, you'll never, no matter how, I don't care who you are, you got to have balls made of titanium, right? Not even steel, to be able to successfully flip that, right? Because
Absolutely.
if you're reliant on the money, it's almost impossible to control your emotions. And so I think a lot of people, they need to get into trading with a realistic goal and look at it as percentages rather than the actual dollar amount that they're gaining, right? 100%. If you've got a $500 account, if you've made $5 in the first day, that's not nothing to be, that's actually all right, because it shows your and as long as it's consistent, that's a lot better than trying to flip that $500, in one day and trying to make, 100% profit, because you're going to, one day it will go the wrong way, and you're gone, and then you'll start from scratch again, and it will just keep hurting you. So I guess but the point I'm trying to get across is, I feel, don't make trading, if you're a new trader, don't make trading your kind of holy grail that will get you out of all your problems. You need to do it as a side hustle, practice, become good at it. Trade very small amounts if you don't have a lot of money behind you, and be happy with even the smallest of gains, as long as the percentages are right. If it's a 1%, 2% gain, that's fantastic. Like that's really good. Would you guys agree with that?
100%. 100%. A lot of these new traders, they see the Lambo and the private jets and the lifestyle, and they're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get that in 3 months." They quit their job and they go balls to the wall trying to do it, and that never really works out that way. So yeah, I totally agree that you need to, I say, hold on to the job as long as you possibly can. You know what I mean? Unless you're in one of those situations where, you have a business and you have the free time to be able to do both of them, and you do have discretionary funds to not just have to rely on that, because that makes the world of a difference as well, as you mentioned. You want to be in a position where you can lose a trade and it doesn't affect you mentally. And just got to get rid of that. I'm going to be a gazillionaire this weekend. You got to get rid of that thinking, because you're starting off with unrealistic expectations right out the gate, and you're just falling down a hill from there in essence.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, trading is going to very quickly teach you that lesson, right? Bring you down to earth. I'm just still gobsmacked with the amount of gurus and programs and courses and indicators and stuff that's still online promising all of these things, People do follow, fall for them. And they kind of prey on people that are desperate, right? And unfortunately, traders don't stick around long enough, especially if they've blown an account or so, to actually give it a decent shot to get that education, go through the motions. Yes, you're going to lose money. You work on that discipline, all that sort of stuff, which is unfortunate. But yeah, the industry and online industry and that sort of sector, or you can say sector, it's unfortunately just geared up like that. So always have realistic expectations. I don't know what your bank gives you per year, 9%, 10% on your money?
Yeah.
So
not even.
If you're making 1% a trade or 1% a week, jeepers, you're doing really, really well. So
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Also, don't go bet the house on a trade. So many traders over leverage. Again, all psychology involved here. Lose a few trades, get angry. Now I'm going to revenge, and there you go, blow your account again. So realistic expectations is where it is at for sure.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think only the markets can really show you that, really teach you those valuable lessons.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because you can know that the stove is hot, but until you touch it yourself, it doesn't steam the same.
Exactly. And don't get too ahead of yourself. If you have a good week, don't think you're invincible.
Yes.
Happened to me as
Did
well. I
Mike
fell for
Tyson
that
say
trap.
everyone's
Yeah.
got a plan until they get punched in the face or something?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, always be humble. Don't
Mhm.
don't over exaggerate your abilities, because it happened to me as well. I had probably one of the greatest, I think it was like 2 weeks, didn't have a single losing day, or even like I was smashing it. I like my success rate was like almost 90%. And I was like, I'm invincible. And then
Yes.
you can imagine what happened next, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
I was like, I can't lose. Something, I don't know, I can't lose. I got it in my head, and I entered, I forced a trade that just wasn't right.
Yep.
And I over leveraged it as well. And I pretty much wiped out like a week's worth of profit in one position like that. And then,
Yeah.
you know, it can happen to the best of us. Like, you have to
Yeah.
always remind yourself, you're not invincible.
Mm-hmm.
It can humble you very quickly, the market. You have to just stick to those core rules and never, no matter what happens, break them. And just be patient. Patience is probably one of the biggest ones as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you have
So
to literally sit on your hands, do it, because no
yeah.
one's clicking the mouse but you.
Not trading is a form of risk management as well.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
very nice. I like that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And just to get back to the percentages point really quick, I'm Billions is my favorite show, so I'm constantly bringing up like small little tidbits and references from there. But it was one part where he said he was, being all big and bag, and he's like, I'm up 32% year to date. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. But if you really put it into perspective, like that's like less than 1% a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in this race that you think you're in, it isn't a race, it's a marathon. So you should
Yeah.
pull back, just notice that you don't need to do a lot to really hit numbers like that. You could do 1% a week for 40 weeks out of the year and be up bigger than Bobby Axelrod. You know what I mean? So, like you
Exactly.
said, look at it from percentages point of view and not dollars, and that'll definitely give you just that much more edge to what you're trying to do for sure.
Exactly. Compounding. I think
Yes.
Einstein said
Yes.
that it's the
Yes.
eighth
He who
wonder of the
understands
world
it
or something
earns
like
it.
that.
Yep. He who
Exactly.
understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. That's exactly right.
100%.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So I think that pretty much wraps it up. I think we gave a lot of good information here. I think people watching hopefully took some notes, took in what we said, because definitely I think some real gold was shared here today. Michael, Richard, thank you guys again for coming on. It would be great if we could do this again at some point. Yeah, have a great day trading as well. Hope the markets are in your favor.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we'll definitely catch up very soon again. Thank you again.
Perfect.
All
Nice
right.
meeting you,
Thanks,
Michael.
Sammy. Thanks, Rich.
Yes, sir.
You too.
Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Guys, that wraps up this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell icon as well so you're notified of every new upload, because we got a lot more of these podcasts coming up with traders from all around the world, all different types of experience that can share some very useful information and experience with you guys, and hopefully help you on your trading journey. So once again, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll see you again very soon. Take care.